Hi David, how you doing? Hi everyone, welcome to my next live stream. There we go, let me just... Hope you're all keeping well. David's asking if there's anyone else from Belgium. Well, that'd be pretty cool actually. I think we've got a couple from America joining in, David, so people from all around. I hope you've had a really nice couple of weeks, everyone. So today we're going to look at making your uke sound like two. So this kind of... Can you hear this kind of like, almost sounds like there's an accompaniment going on to your melody playing. So we're going to break it down, work out how to do it and have loads of fun. And we're going to do I'll Fly Away as our piece this week. Just before we start, if anyone could just let me know that the sound is okay in terms of uke level and my voice level, whether I'm too loud, too quiet, just right. And in the meantime, just to mention, if you'd like to chat along live, just like David did in the YouTube comments, just make sure you've clicked allow live chat in YouTube, and that will allow you to type questions up and they'll come into me in real time. So yeah, just make sure you've enabled live chat and then you can take part and have loads of fun. So let me think, what did I need to tell you about the start of this one? I wrote it down somewhere, but it's all gone. Oh yeah. So I was just going to mention that on Facebook I've created a group called the Ukulele Students Hangout for all my students, and anyone can take part in that group. You can post progress videos, you can support each other, ask questions, let us know how you're getting on. So I'll leave a link to that in the description, so check that out. And also, if anyone wanted to re-watch, or if you missed the last YouTube live lesson, which was 2 weeks ago, on my website, mattsteadukulele.com, links in the description. You can also find details there of how to take part. Oh, that's Fly Away, Hilke. Thank you very much. I just realised that I've been missing all your comments because I wasn't scrolling down. I thought it was quite quiet. So, Richard says he's been listening to I'll Fly Away on YouTube to get in the mood. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, I feel a lot better. I can see you all now. Hi, Robin. Robin's all the way from Australia. Absolutely brilliant. And Dunya again from Gwen. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, and my mum's here as well. Hi, Mum. Excellent. There we go. Thanks for letting me know the sound's fine as well, David. There we go. Hopefully they'll all ping up now. So have a look on the website, mattsteadukulele.com, and all the previous lessons will be there so you can take part. And if anyone hasn't had a chance to download the worksheets for today, I will have them on screen up that way as well, but links are in the description as to where to download those as well. So... Oh, thank you, Vicky. Thanks, Vicky. Saying sounds good. Oh, I'm fine in Montana. Amazing. Absolutely brilliant. I love finding out where everyone's from. It's just absolutely brilliant. So just to give you an idea, the kind of sound that we're going for today is where we're going to have this melody. But on top of that, we're going to have this almost classic kind of accompaniment on the backbeat. And when you put those together, you get this lovely kind of two-tone thing happening where you can hear both the melody and the chords being played at the same time. So it's kind of like a form of chord melody, but it makes your ukulele sound like there's two ukuleles playing at the same time. And so I absolutely love that. It's a really cool kind of way of playing. It's one of my favourite ways of playing. And it's one of the most common questions I get as well, is how to do it. So yeah, cool. Hi, Robin. Hi, Lisa. Hope you're keeping well. There we go. Brilliant. So what we'll do to get started, I think, let's get going. Let's just first of all have a look at I'll Fly Away as a piece. So this was a really old time tune, written and performed by the Carter family way back when. It does have incredibly depressing lyrics because it's about when someone's passed away and how they get up to heaven and everything. But I love how upbeat it feels, even though it's got those kind of sad lyrics. And, you know, it's powerful. People were singing about real things to them at the time. So I think it's a really special song. And I love the Carter family stuff as well. So what I'm going to suggest you do is just grab your ukes. We're not going to do anything fancy pants yet, as I say. We're just going to keep this to basic strumming. And what we'll do is we'll do a little trick. So rather than putting the chords up on the screen and everything, you'll have sheets later on with all the details. Every time I'm playing a C chord, I'm going to keep my ukulele up here, right? So wherever it's here, just strum a C chord along with me. Whenever I drop down here, I'd like you to play an F chord. Back up here for C. And then if I ever point towards you, towards the screen, it's going to be a G7. There's going to be quite a quick G7 in there, but it doesn't matter if you don't play it in time. It's just all about getting warmed up and having fun and getting to know the songs, okay? Now, one of the important things about this song is that, as with a lot of songs, when we play on the ukulele, we can be tempted to swing everything. So, you know how rather than just strumming straight notes, like, we tend to swing it, don't we, like this? It's hard to describe swing because it's kind of just almost like we're playing slightly behind the beat. But there's a big difference between straight and swing. So what I want you to do as you join in this first bit is strum very straight. Now, for a lot of people, that can be quite difficult because they've got used to swing. So if you're not sure, just strum what I call straight eights, where we're doing very quick down strums. Okay, so when I'm singing along, it'll be kind of, some glad morning when this life is over, I'll fly away. Just keep that kind of constant strum going. Or if you can strum fast enough, I quite like to strum walk, running, 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 walk, running, running, running. If I slow that down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, walk, running, 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 walk, running, 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 walk, running, running, running. So that's how I'll be strumming it. But remember, this bit's just for fun and to get you warmed up anyway, so don't sweat it. Just do whatever feels most comfortable to you. Straight eights if you're not sure. So let's roll a C to get going. Oh, Wendy's here. Hi, Wendy. Here we go. Some glad morning when this life is over, I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away to that home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. Let's do one more verse, it's low for me. When the shadows of this life have gone, I'll fly away like a bird from prison bars has flown. Get ready? I'll fly away. I'll fly away, fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. So something like that. Oh my goodness, I can't sing that one, as you can tell. Let that be a lesson to you. If you're preparing to give a live lesson to lots of people, maybe practice actually singing it first to make sure you can do it, rather than just hoping for the best. I have to sing super loud, oh, super loud, oh, go Johnny Cash. But yeah, we're not going to be doing it with vocals, so don't worry, you won't have to listen to my horrible cats wailing singing any longer. But hopefully that's just got you a little bit warmed up, got your hands going. I forgot to mention, so the reason why this isn't swing is because swing was pretty much invented and standardised in the 20s and 30s. So Louis Armstrong is generally kind of the person that most people kind of call the father of swing, or gave birth to swing. So rather than kind of playing straight, in that time it would have been melodies. So rather than da 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 da, Louis Armstrong, or Louis Armstrong as I should call him, would play da 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 ba ba da 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 da. So it changed the way people perform music. People started to play just slightly behind the beat. And then of course you've got the big bands in the 40s that really took that to its logical conclusion. But the Carter family, a lot of this stuff was written and performed. A lot of old time music was written and performed before the swing era, so we need to make sure we don't swing it. And that is actually going to be really important when we get to the fun bit where we're adding these, because we very much don't want to swing the melody, we want to keep it nice and straight. So bear that in mind as we go forward. We don't want to swing with this one. Okay then, so let's have a look. We've looked at the song. It's basically C, F and G7, that's the entire chords. We call that a 1-4-5 song because the chords are named after the 1st, 4th and 5th scale degrees. That just means in the key of C, C is 1, not D, not E, F is 4, and G, or we're playing as a G7, is 5. And each of those chords is fulfilling a specific function. C is making you feel at home. It sets you off on the journey, right? Here we go, we're setting off. The 4 chord just presents a little bit of variety. I love the 4 chord in folk music. It quite often comes up in the verses. So Maybelline Carter, I can't remember which one of them wrote it, could have stayed on a C, but just adding that F provides a bit of variety. I often refer to it as a change chord, don't I, if you've seen some of my other videos. And then finally, that G7 only appears for 2 beats, believe it or not. And that's providing a kind of a turnaround or a sense of drama, because the 5 chord, it asks a question which wants to be answered by the 1 chord. So 1-4-5 this song. Let's have a look at how we're going to start creating this kind of sense of 2 ukuleles playing at the same time. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to jump straight in with that. And I'd like you to turn to this sheet if you've got it in your packs, which is Getting an Offbeat Feel. Then we'll go back to looking at time signatures and why this one is in 2/4, and I'll explain exactly what that is and why we use it in a minute. But if we could just go and find this sheet here. If you haven't already printed it off, as I say, I'll keep it on the screen for you. It keeps going tiny for some reason. That should do it. Yeah, cool. So when we're playing this piece, it's very straight. We want every offbeat to be to have the emphasis. So the melodies are going to take the strong beats, and you can think of the strong beats as your numbers: 1, 2, 1, 2. And in between that, what we would count as our ands or offbeats: 1 and 2 and 3 and. These are going to be filled up with our downstrum, and that creates a sense of drama and an emphasis on the backbeat, on those ands in between the numbers. And there's a really simple way we can do this. What we're going to do is the melodies, I need to put my dentures in today, I think. the melody notes we're going to pick with our thumb. And to practice this, let's just pick a C note, a high C note on our ukulele, just like you're going to strum a C chord. But I want you to pick just the C note, that means picking the A string, with your thumb. Now, what I really want is that particular pick to have a real warmth to it and a real kind of strong, warm tone. So notice with my thumb, let's see if I can get that kind of close angle. There we go, that's better, isn't it? Notice with my thumb, I'm using the middle part of my thumb to come down on a string. I'm not using the side of my thumb like this, which would give, can you hear that's quite, almost like a tinny tone, isn't it? Notice what happens when I move out and I use the middle part of my thumb. Let's try and get the right angle, there it is. Using the middle part of my thumb to pick down, I get the warmth. Okay. If I zoom out so you can see my arm angle, that means I'm not holding my arm flat against the string like this and picking with the side. I'm actually bringing my arm out, creating this kind of angle with my arm, and then the middle part of my thumb is rolling over the string. Now, I've got quite long nails on my thumb, but you don't have to have. You can still use whatever nail you have, or the middle part of the pad of your thumb will be absolutely fine as well. So I know it sounds daft, but let's just pick 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Fantastic. Now, for the ands to fill in these offbeats, the ones that are going to kind of have this kind of sense of groove or rhythm about them, I want you to strum down very lightly using the nails of this hand. I was going to say right hand, but we might have some left-handed people. So whatever your strumming arm is, notice my 45-degree angle again. I'm not like this. I'm not like this. I'm always banging on about this, aren't I, folks? But it really makes a big difference. And the ukulele is very much not like that. Not like that. It's just in the middle. That means these nails will naturally fall over those strings without getting tangled up like they do when you go this way, or without catching the side of your fingers this way. So we're going to strum those over fairly lightly, fairly quickly. So what I want you to do, practice this with me. I'll do a couple. I'm going to do a warm thumb pick, followed by a light down strum. And I'm going to count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Lovely. Can you hear that juxtaposition? We've got the warmth, the melody note is really ringing out, and then the kind of the backbeat has a different feel. It's a kind of shorter, sharper strum. That's going to be crucial because we want it to sound like one uke is doing this and the other uke is doing this. And if we juxtapose those sounds, if we make them sound dynamically different, we'll be able to do that. Now, let's just have a quick look, before I go into more detail about that picking pattern and how to use it. Let's just have a look at this sheet, which talks about time signatures. This is in your pack with all your worksheets. Now, a lot of old time music was written in cut time. That means either 2/2 or 2/4. Now, when we talk about time signatures, we've got two numbers, haven't we? They're often written next to the treble clef in music, or they can be written out just like they are here, kind of one left and one right. The first number is telling you how many beats are in a bar. So in 4/4 time, there are 4 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4 in a bar or a measure. When we do a waltz song, we have 3 per measure. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And all the bottom number tells you is what type of notes they are. Are they eighth notes, half notes, or quarter notes? So a quarter note would be the 4 because it's 1/4 of a measure. An eighth note would be the 8, 1/8 of a measure. And if you're talking Old English, a crotchet would be a quarter note and a quaver would be an eighth note. But don't stress that. That's just kind of I prefer to think about things using the worldwide system of notation, because a quarter note makes a lot of sense. It's a quarter of a measure, whereas a crotchet doesn't really sound like anything, does it? I actually think it sounds like a character from a Dickens play, doesn't it? Bill Cratchit from Crouch End or something. So those are the two numbers. Now, we don't need to worry about that bottom or the right hand number too much. It doesn't really affect our playing because we can make up for it with tempo, and you can kind of get tangled up trying to understand that. But what is important is the feel of these time signatures, and that's all to do with a pulse. When musicians play, particularly with bands and jazz bands back in the day, there almost always used to be a strong pulse at the start of a measure and then a weak pulse somewhere in the middle. So if you imagine someone was drumming to 4/4 time music, it might sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Have a listen. Boom, tss, boom, tss, boom, tss, boom, tss. There's a strong pulse at the start of the measure, boom, and there's a weak pulse, tss, halfway through, which makes that kind of dynamically interesting, but it means that the main pulse is at the start of every measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now in 2/2 time, because there's two equal beats, we tend to have two pulses per measure. It's kind of equal. So now we have 1 and 2. And 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Now that really messes with people's minds sometimes, and they think, well, isn't 2/2 kind of just half of 4/4? But it's about the feel. Have a listen. I'll really exaggerate it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got a different feel, right? It has this equal pulse, and that's why I've written this in 2/4 time, which is just like 2/2 time. It's just I decided to use crotchets rather than half notes per beat. So that means we have 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And that's going to be really important. When we're counting, we're going to put the strong melody note on the numbers, and we're going to put the down strum in between. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Okay, does that all kind of ish make sense, folks? I just thought I didn't want to go too much into time signatures, but I thought it was worth mentioning that these old time songs are often in this 2/2 or 2/4, often referred to as cup time, and it will affect our counting later on. So it was definitely, I think, worth mentioning it. So what I want to do now is give you a little exercise to get you into hitting this way of playing, where we're putting the melody notes using our thumb and the backbeat using our nails. And this is something I was mucking about with today, and I've created a new sheet for. But don't panic. What I'm going to do is at the end of the lesson, I'm going to provide a link so that you can have a go at this, and you can print this off at home. But I'll keep it on screen so you'll be able to join in. I was going to do this without kind of having it diagrammatically shown on the screen, but I think it was really useful to do that. So there we go. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to practice playing a melody, and one of the easiest melodies for people to play is a scale, right? It's just kind of simple. You recognise it instantaneously. Even if you don't know that's the C major scale, you'll probably recognise it from school, and do, re, mi, fa, and I forget what the other ones are. So what I've done is I've tabbed this out, and what I'd like you to do is just play it along with me. Now you can see in the tab up here, okay, the lines going across are representing the strings on your ukulele. The numbers are what fret you're going to press with this hand. If the number is a 0, it just means an open string. So for instance, that first measure, we're playing a C by playing the second string down open. Then we're playing a D by using our second finger to hit the second fret. Then we're playing an E by playing the third string down open. The 1 represents this F here on the E string, first fret. We go to the 3rd fret, gives us G. We play the string nearest the floor open, gives us A. The 2nd fret gives us B. And the 3rd fret gives us C. Now I know a lot of you will already know that, but this might be new to some people, so it's worth pointing it out. So we're doing 0, 2 on the C string, C and D. 0, 1 on the E string, E and F. Then to 3 on the E string for G. And then off to 3 on the A string, A, B, C. And you play it forward. And if you are practicing this, which is worth doing, try and land each one of these fingers to the right hand side of the fret. So that it's not over here, it's over here. Be really good practice, because the closer you are to the right hand fret, the less likely you are to get any squeaks and buzzes. Okay, and notice I'm using the corresponding finger. Anything that comes on the 2nd fret, I'm using my 2nd finger. 1st fret, 1st finger. 3rd fret, 3rd finger. No fret, no fingers at all, obviously. Now what we're going to do to make that interesting is we're going to add the backbeat behind it, and this is a really lovely way to practice this technique. So what I'm going to get you to do, if you look at the 2nd line down now, which is there, I want you to hold a C chord with this hand. I want you to pick that C note, that 0, and then can you see a load of numbers which are probably hard to read on the screen with an arrow next to it? That's just telling you to strum down. Okay, so we're hitting that 0 with our thumb and strumming down. Then we're hitting that 2 with our thumb, but I want you to keep this finger here for the C chord. So we're going to hit it like this and then strum down. Okay, so we have... You can actually keep it on there thinking about it, would be just as good. Then 0, 3rd string down, and 1. Noticing this finger is staying all the time. Then it gets a little bit more unusual here. We're going to play this 3rd fret of the E string, and I'm doing something called a C5 power chord. I'm going to talk you through that in a minute, but I'm just putting 2 fingers down on the 3rd fret. Then I'm hitting no fingers at all on the A string, but I'm keeping my finger on the 3rd fret of the E string. Then I'm hitting the 2nd fret of the, I'm hitting the, 2nd fret of the A string. And then the 3rd fret. Okay. I could have kept that finger down for that G note for both of those last ones I would have had. So kind of, sorry. There we go. So that's just, I explained that terribly. I realised halfway through it sounded like I was getting all muddled up. So let's go again with the close angle. That's better. There we go. Right. So I'm going to play C string open and strum down. Let's move along so you can see my thumb. There we go. Then I'm playing the 2nd fret up here and I'm going to strum down. And then I'm playing the open E, strumming down, the F, strumming down, the G, 2 fingers now, the open A, but I'm leaving that finger in place, the B down here, and then the C. Now some of those sound a bit weird, but when you do it at tempo, so you get that lovely sound of the C major scale, but you get a nice kind of background strum as well. So one last time, and then I'll leave this on screen for you to play around with. I'm going to hit the C string open, strum down, the D note, strum down, E note open, strum, F note strum, G note strum, leave that on, hit the A note strum, B note strum, C note strum. Okay, now that is a really, really lovely way to practice this method that we're doing. Did you notice as I do it, the melody notes sound warm and the backbeat sounds light and kind of a bit more tinny. Really great way to practice that. So I'll leave this, I'll put this as a free worksheet in the description for afterwards, so you can print that off and have a go yourself. So maybe just take a minute or so just to have a little practice through that. I'll just see what's happening over here, see if we've got any comments or anything. Cool. Give us a shout if give us a thumbs up or something if you're hearing me okay and everything. It's always a bit scary when I get about halfway into the live lesson, because everyone's so intent on doing what I'm saying, which is fantastic, and it's what I want you to do, that people aren't commenting and I start thinking, oh, I hope they're there. So if you're there, give us a thumbs up so I know I'm not just shouting out into the abyss. Okay, so that's a really lovely one to practice this technique. Now let's look at something else we're going to do with this technique with another exercise that I'm going to put on screen if I can find it. There we go. There it is. Okay, cool. So now we're going to practice our coordination with this by taking some melody notes, and we're going to place them all on the A string because most of the melody notes in this piece are going to go on the A string. But I'm going to show you what to do if a note isn't on a strong beat. What if there is a note on one of those off beats, on one of the ands? How do we deal with that? Well, it's really simple, and it's the magic of what makes this whole thing work. So I'll show you in a second. So can you see on the top line up here, this is just tabbed out. All that I'm doing here is I'm playing a note on the A string. The first one is 7, which just means 7th fret. And following that, the arrow with all the little numbers just means a strum down. So I use my little finger for this one up here. Try picking the 7th fret and strumming down. Then what I'd like you to do is move to the 5th fret. Thank you. And strum down. Then the 3rd fret, strum down. And then finally we go back to the 7th fret and strum down. Now if I put those together, I have the melody is 7, 5, 3, 7. Okay. If you're into your notation, that's going to be an E, a D, a C, and back to an E. You can just think in terms of numbers for now, that's absolutely fine. Let's practice that with the strums. Okay, oh, I forgot to go back to 7. Let me do that again. Sorry, folks. 7, 5, 3, 7, 2. I'll give you 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 7, 5, 3, 7. Yeah, let's do it again. 1 and 2 and 7, 5, 3, 7. Now just have a listen to this next bit. See if you can hear what's happening with this next one. Did you hear somewhere in the middle there was an extra melody note snuck in there? There. And it's coming on a down strum. So now the melody is 7, 5, 3, 5, 7. Just try that with me in slow motion, just picking out the melody notes with your thumb. 7, 5, 3, 5, 7. And again, 7, 5, 3, 5, 7. This comes to the crux of this entire technique. Whenever you get a melody note which is on the offbeat, which is on one of the down strums, because this song is in the key of C, all you need to do is strum down to wherever the melody note is. So here, if I go in slow motion, I pick 7, strum, 5, strum, 3, now strum down on the next one for that 5 and then back to 7. That puts that melody note on the way back up on the offbeat. Let's do that again. 7, strum, 5, strum, 3, strum down on 5 and then back to 7. And if you play that a few times, let me do it for you. Now can you see I've got this constant backbeat strum? But we hear the melody going right through all those strums, and this is what we want to do. The reason it works in the key of C, if anyone's into the theory, I won't go deep into it, don't panic, is because the notes that make up a C chord are C, E, and G. So anytime we play a note on this A string, underneath it, by strumming those top 3 strings open, we're going to hear a C chord. And that's how it magically works. It's absolutely fantastic. When the chord changes, we have to hold a different chord down. And when we strum, we'll hear half of, say, a G7 chord. But don't sweat it for now. Most of these melody notes are going to be on a C chord. That, in effect, is the pattern that we're after. We're going to add those melody notes, sometimes on the offbeat, but mostly on the onbeat. And you might think, oh, what on earth is he talking about? Let's have a look at our proper worksheets now and have a look at a few measures of the song and see if we can see that in action. Now, don't worry if you don't read tablature. I'll kind of talk you through these one at a time, but they are all tabbed out to help you. There we go. Let's get this one on the screen. Cool. There we go. And this is one of my, as I say, one of my all-time favourite methods. There we go. So if you turn to your worksheets to the tabbed out worksheets in the back. Oh, actually, let's just stay on this page just for a second, just so that I can explain it. So this sheet, because some people like things written out to help them, just explains exactly what we're doing in detail. So I told you that we're in cut time, so we're counting 1 and 2 and per measure, and those are the beats along the top there. See, 1 and 2 and at the top. And then we've got 2 options. I'm only going to give you the one option first. We'll have a look at the bottom one in a little while. It says TP. That just means thumb pick. So what we were doing there, wasn't it? We were picking with our thumb, the melody note. That's your TP. On the and, it means nail brush. That's your down strum. And then we do another TP thumb pick and another nail brush, sorry. So if I was doing a C chord, that would sound like thumb pick, nail brush, thumb pick, nail brush. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Okay, so dead easy. Just going to pick on the numbers and then nail brush on the ands. Right, so come on then, let's get to the exciting bit. Let's go forward. We'll look at the C5 power chord in just a minute. Let's have a look at the start of the song. There we go. Okay, I'm going to have to come over here so you can see me. Yep, that's good. Okay, so let's just kind of analyse what's happening here. 2/4 time, which I mentioned at the start. You don't need to worry about all the standard notation. You can read that if you're interested. I put it up there just in case. But we're really concentrating on the tablature here. And it looks quite overwhelming, doesn't it? You've got all those numbers, all those kind of the quaver flags on top. There's quite a lot going on. But just really analyse it one bit at a time and you realise it's a lot more simple than it looks. The 7 at the start is going to be our thumb pick because that's on the 1. And then the 007 that follows it, whenever you see that, you just know that's going to be a nail brush. And because 7 is the number nearest the sky in the tablature, you just leave that there. So 7 and a nail brush. Then we have a 3 and a nail brush. I'm going to use my index finger. Okay. And then we have our 1 and 2 and. Okay. We're starting to get that kind of melody note and then nail brush happening. The next one that we play is a G note, and that's going to be on this E string here, and we're going to pick that G note and we're going to follow it with this chord. This is often called a C5 chord, okay, or a C power chord. That just means as well as having the normal C chord, we've also left on this G note here. Okay. Now, there's a sheet all about this, which you can read up at your leisure afterwards in your sheets here, which tells you all about different types of chords. I don't think I'm going to go into it in too much detail. Maybe we'll come back to that later on when we get questions on it. But just know that most chords are made up of 3 notes, and a C major chord, as I mentioned earlier, is made up of C, E and G, which you can see written out there. So that just means the first, the fifth, the first, the third and the fifth notes of a scale. C, not D, E, not F, G, C, E and G. And that's your C major chord there. Well, a C5 chord just means that rather than having the E, we replace it with another G, another 5. So by doing this, the notes that we're playing, let's go to the close angle. The notes that I'm playing here are C, G, C, G. Or from top to bottom, G, C, G, C. So if you ever see a C5 written or C power chord, we've just taken out the E note. And this is used loads in bluegrass and old time music. If I strum it, can you hear how it has quite a powerful driving sound? The E gives it a bit more richness. But by taking that out, replacing it with a G, stronger, more driving. And that's why it's called a power chord, and that's why a lot of guitarists use that in heavy rock music, because it has that driving sound. If you're into chord building, I've also included all the different types of C chord there, which you might find interesting, or many of the different types like a C7 and a C minor and a C minor 7. But when we talk about this C5, now you know what it is, right? It's just C, G, C, G, literally, that's all it is. And we're going to use that on that second measure. Let's go back to the start though, just to remind ourselves. So we're picking the 7th fret of the A string and strumming. Then the 3rd fret of the A string and strumming. Then the 3rd fret of the E string and strumming that power chord. Yeah? And then finally, to finish the second measure, we pick the C on the A string again and strum it like that. Okay? So we have 7, 3, 3 above it, and 3 on it. Okay? And that is our one fine morning. Okay, that's the start of our song, right? Of I'll Fly Away. Now, I find it easier when I play that G note, because I'm using my index finger here, I actually prefer to use my second finger over the top. Does that all make sense so far, guys? So we've got really pretty, right? Really, really nice and simple. Now, the next measure is where things get interesting, because the melody this time, rather than just being on the beat, we have melody notes on the beat and the offbeat. Do you see that? 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. We've got a note on the offbeat. Wow, what you've got to do, turn yourself into a robot, be like a metronome. We just need to strum down just like we were on every offbeat, whether or not there's a melody note on it. And you'll hear them come through. It's like magic, I promise. I'll show you what I mean. In slow motion, I'm looking at the 3rd measure along here, starting with this 7. I pick the note, and then before I do the next one, I put my finger on the 5th fret, right? Because it has 005 written. And then when I go back to the 7 with a pick, and I strum down on the 8th fret. Okay, let me do that in slow motion, okay? 7, strum down on 5, pick 7, strum down on 8. Let's do that a few times. Again, 7, 5, 7, 8. And no matter what happens in this song, watch this hand. It's always going up and down all the time. It never stops. So even if that melody note is on the offbeat, we keep going. One last time, okay? Let's go from the start, actually. Let's go in slow motion, okay? So we're going 7, whoops, let's do that again. 7, 3, 3 on the E string, back to 3, 7 and strum 5, 7, strum 8. Yeah, amazing. That's it. You're hearing it come through, okay? Where's my words? I had the words there somewhere. Oh, I'll just try and remember them. One fine morning when this life is over. You can hear that melody come through. I promised I wouldn't be singing at you today, and I'm doing it again. Ah, it's so high for me. Okay, so after we've done this bit, we've just got 2 more little bits to do on this A string. We've got 1 more 7 and strum and 1 more 5 and strum. That's your over. Okay. Let's put that together super slow from the start in slow motion. 1 and 2 and 7, 3, 3 on the E string, 3, 7, strum 5, 7, strum 8, 7, 5. Just pause for a second and have a little go at that. I'm just going to stop for a second and let you just have a little try of that, folks. Once you've got this, you can do all of it. It's amazing. It's just the same process, and I'll show you some little tricks. Later on, I'll show you how to make it sound even nicer as well, which would be really lovely. Okay, just have a go on your own for a second. Have a slurp of coffee. Oh, that's very cold coffee. That's how they like it on the islands, isn't it? Iced coffee. Unintentional iced coffee. Just pause in for a moment just to let live folks have a go at this. Obviously, at any point when you're watching this back, you can pause the video in real time and go back to it, but just to give everyone a chance. So that's our opening phrase, okay? And because every melody note is on the A string and all the chords are C up to that point, that keeps it really, really simple. At this point in the song, we change to an F. Fly away. That's why I got you to strum it at the start, to give you an idea. So that means every time we do our backbeat strum, we need to make sure we're holding down an F chord, right? Luckily, the melody at that point is really simple. The melody are those notes on the A string. It's 3, 3, 3, off, 3, 3 on the E string. If you're into notation, that'd be C, 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 A, C, G. So what we need to do, and it really is this simple, is when we're doing the melody with this finger, these 2 fingers just hold an F chord. Remember, we're picking those melody notes with our thumb. That's the first bit, right? Just 3, F, 3, F, 3, F, and then finally off F, A, F. But notice this one comes back down on the backbeat. Okay. So it's the reason it's important to get that finger back down on the next note is that that's a melody note. Fly, okay, fly, and then we finally go to this G chord, and we're going to do the power chord again, way, just picking with our thumb, okay? So that section, starting from those 2013s, the Fs, is going to sound like this. That takes us to the end of the line. Not too bad, right? Give that a go. See if you can have a little practice of that. Whilst I'm just getting back to the normal screen. Okay. Then we'll maybe try the whole of that opening section. I think would be really good. There we go. Let's just pop him back there. So just have a little try whilst I'm mucking about and getting ready. Okay. Okay. Just do it. Oh, he doesn't want to go off the screen. I'll just keep him there. Okay. Let's try the whole of that first line then, really, really slowly. Okay. I'll kind of say it as I play it, and you just copy back. Okay. We're going to start with this 7. 1 and 2 and 7. 3. 3 on E. 3. 7 strum 5, 7 strum 8, 7, 5, then it's F shape, off, on, and our C power chord. Lovely. If you want to try playing, if I just play it once through, if you're not confident enough yet, just so you can hear how it sounds. You can just about hear that melody come through. Okay, and it's that same principle all the way along. If you're finding it difficult reading the tablature in time and playing along in time, that doesn't matter one bit, okay? As long as you understand the process and you can read what's happening slowly, you can come back to this later on and really kind of perfect it. There's loads going on with this song, so I'm not expecting you to necessarily get it first time. That could be quite tricky. But if you understand the process, firstly, you can play this arrangement, which I love. It's one of my favourite ones. And also it means that you can make your own arrangements, which hopefully is really empowering and really exciting. Let's have a look at another bit then, see if we can do another little bit. So that's taken us down to, if you can see the measure numbers on the left, there's a number 8, isn't there, at the start of the second line. That means the 8th measure. That's taken us down to the end of that 8th measure. So let's have a look at what's happening after that. So we're looking at the 9th measure. It's starting the same, isn't it? We've got 7, 3, 3 on the E, back to 3. Then we have this 7 strumming the 5, 7 strumming the 8, and back to 7. So just practice that round. Let's go nice and slowly from measure 9. 7 strum, 3 strum, 3 on E and strum, 3 strum, 7 5 strum, 7 8 strum, 7. And we stay on that 7 for a little while. Now we have this 5 chord, the G7 coming in. So what we have to do is hit the 5th fret and then the offbeat strum, we strum a G7 and then we go back to a C. So those last 2 measures of that line will sound like this. Do you see how the chord changes? Isn't that lovely? Now, to be able to do that quickly, what you want to do is make sure when you're playing this note here, the 7, use your 3rd finger, especially when you go here to the 5th fret, which will allow you to slide that back to the 2nd fret, put your G7 over the top, and go back to your C chord. Okay, and it just stays on there for the end of that section. So just practice that again. Last 2 measures of the second line. 7 strum, 5 strum G7, C. Yeah, Absolutely lovely. So I'll go from measure 9 now so we can practice that second line, okay? Let's go nice and slowly with me talking you through it, and then I'll play it fast so you can hear how it sounds. 7, 3, 3 on E, 3 on A, 7, strum 5, 7, strum 8, 7, stay on it, and again, one more, 5, G7, C. There we go. So if I just play through the first 2 lines, if you're not quite ready for it yet, just appreciate how it can sound, and just really listen out for those melody notes. So 1 and 2 and from the top. F shape. Next line now. Back up to 7, 3, G. Third finger if you can. 5, G7, C. Yeah! Just give that a go around a few times. And you can go as slow as you want when you play this at home. The important thing is just to notice that that hand is moving all the time. No matter what the melody does, my hand just goes up and down, and the on beats are always the thumb and the off beats are always the nail. And that's it. That's the method. And you get this lovely kind of two timbre, two tone, not two tone as in ska, kind of feel, and there's the sound of 2 instruments. Okay. Let me know how you've got on with that, everyone. Let me know how you're getting on. Leave us a message or give us a like or an angry face if you haven't got it. Good. Ah, Robin's getting on well. Yeah, David, that's from earlier, isn't it? Cool. Excellent. Okay. Fantastic. Okay then. There we go. Just checking everything's working. Okay. Right then, folks. Can you see about at the start, at the end of measure 16, if I try and get it on the screen, can you see there's a double bar line? There's 2 lines going down, and then it starts the next section starting way up at the 10th fret. Okay, that double bar line just means we're about to start a new section. So that's almost like the verse, if you like, and we're just about to play the B section, or the chorus, if you like, where the melody goes a lot higher. Let's just have a look at the melody first. We're going to go way up to the 10th fret. It's easy to find the 10th fret if you're not sure, because there's a gap of 2 before you go back to the next dot. I always remember that, it makes it easy. 7th fret has a dot, and then your 10th fret will have a dot, which makes it easy to find, okay? So now we're going to go way up there. This is a high G note, a super high G note. That's a whole octave above this one. Okay, going way up here. So super high G. Now David has made a really good point, so I'm going to put it on screen so everyone can see. That coordination is super tricky, and it really does take a lot of time. Thanks, Robin. I would really suggest, yeah, it's everyone. It's not just, see, it's not just you, David, Hilke as well. It's going to take a lot of practice, right? So don't stress if you don't get it straight away. It's getting that technique. Once you understand it, you can go as slow as you want and bring it up to get it really nice and smooth. As I say, I'm going to put printouts of those 2 exercises. So work through those exercises slowly before you attempt this each time. And it took me quite a few months to kind of really perfect this technique. It's similar to something James Hill does in his Duets for One book, but I've kind of adapted it. I kind of do it my own way. And later on, I'll show you ways to make it even more kind of personal and a bit more kind of interesting and things. So it did take me a fair few months to really kind of get this and perfect it. The thing that trips everyone up is that syncopation. Whenever the melody note is on the offbeat, we call it syncopated because it's not following the strong beats, and that's what trips everyone up. If every melody note was on the onbeat, it would be a lot easier. So you probably find that first bit. You probably find that relatively not easy, but more simple. But when you come to this bit, it's more tricky, and that's because the note 1 and 2 and is then going on that offbeat. So the main thing is just to get used to that hand coming down like a metronome. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Oh, hang on, I'm doing 4/4 timing. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. So when no matter what's happening, it just comes down on that offbeat. But yeah, it takes a lot of practice. Thanks, Vicky. You'll get it. Just keep at it slowly, folks, and you'll get it absolutely for sure. Let's just have a look at this second section. So we've had a try, and then I'll show you a couple of interesting things that we can do with this pattern as well. So the next bit is our chorus, if you like. I'll fly away, can't sing this high in the morning. Okay, so we're starting up at this 10th fret, and just follow the numbers through slowly. I'm on measure 17. Okay, so it's that second to last line after the double bars. So I'm doing 10, 7, strum down on the 8, back to 10. Do you see how that's working? So 10, 7, strum 8, 10, strum 8. And then we go down to 7, 5, 3. Okay. Just looking at what Dunya's written, everyone. So great. Yeah, I know what you mean. It can kind of, it can go that way, Dunya. Use your thumb for the minute, and then no. Do you know what? I'm going to show you the other part of the technique because some people might find this more useful. Right, I'm going to quickly go back. Sorry, everyone that's following song. This is worthwhile for everyone. I absolutely promise. I'm going to go back a couple of pages in your worksheets to the kind of explanation part again. Why is that not going back? Sorry, guys. This one here. So when we did that original sheet, getting the offbeat feel, we had TP thumb pick, nail brush down, right? Now, this is an easier option, but I don't think it sounds as nice. But it's worth learning, so you've done both, right? It's good to do it. Now, Dunya made a really, really interesting point. She found it a lot easier to pick the melody notes using her index finger. I'm guessing index finger. And that's kind of okay. That's absolutely fine. It's not a problem at all. So many people will find it easier to pick up and then strum down. So you can pick the melody notes on the way up. So do you see how I'm doing that? So I'm just picking the melody on the up, strum down, melody, strum down, just picking them up. Now it makes it easier in some ways because the thumb one you kind of got to go down to come back up, right? So it's more of a movement, whereas this way you're coming up anyway and then going down, right? For now, I want you to experiment with what feels best to you, because you might find that fingerpick sounds absolutely fine and it's easier to do. It's no problem at all. The only reason why when I'm being super pedantic I like using my thumb is it's the difference in dynamics. Because the thumb is warmer and the nails are brittle, there's more differentiation between that and, whoops, that's a bad example. That kind of, if I come back, that kind of sounds quite similar, doesn't it? But when there's more dynamics. The other reason I like the thumb is because I can pick up here where the sweet spot of the uke is, because I'm coming down. Whereas when I pick up there, my finger hits the fretboard and it finds it awkward. So when I do the finger one, I tend to bring it back here. Okay. So have an experiment with both. See what works for you, folks. Because the point is, you want to make this your own thing, and everyone's different, and everyone prefers different things. So try both of those. Okay, finger pick FP if you want on any of these bits. There we go. And let's just go back to piece. There we go. Okay. Believe it or not, we're actually a fair way through the piece. You might panic we're running out of time. Don't worry, we're actually doing okay because there's a lot of repetition. So let's go back to these tens, okay? Up here on the on that line there, okay? So we've got 10, and you can finger pick this, totally cool as well. Yeah. So we're going to pick 10, 7, strum 8, and again 10, 7, 8, 10, 10, 7, 5, 3. Put that together again. 1 and 2 and 10, 7, 8, 10, 7, 8, 10, 7, 5, sorry, 3. It's my fault for not looking at what I'm doing. Then we go back to that F chord again. This bit's not too bad. We just do that F chord with that extra C added. Come off, back on, and then we're just to this C5 chord again. Try both ways, done, yeah? That's totally cool. Yeah, absolutely, and everyone else as well. So try it both ways. There's nothing wrong with that up pick on the finger as well. It's just a different technique. It can actually be useful for doing some claw hammer later on. I'll show you at the end a little extra technique. So yeah, experiment what you got. Let's try it one last time from the tens, everyone. 1 and 2 and 10, 7, 8, 10, 7, 8, 10, 7, 5, 3, F chord over the top, off 3, and then we're back to this C5. Okay, excellent guys. We'll keep going because we're doing absolutely brilliant with this. We've not actually got much more of the song to go because then it just repeats itself, okay? That gets us down to measure 24 at the bottom, if you can see, okay? So we've just done all these C5s, the 3, 0, 0, 0, 3. And then the next bit, going from measure 25, we're still on that C5. We pick the E string, lift this finger off to have the open A. Put it back down and pick it. Okay, I'm going to do that in slow motion. So from measure 25, I do the E string, lift off the A string, put it back on, and then the next bit gets a little bit tricky. Okay, so it goes up to this 5th fret, but I think I'm going to get you to change your fingering. Yeah. If everyone's sorry about this, everyone, can everyone, when we do that C5 from measure 25, can we use our first, let's use, yeah, second and third fingers. So we're going to pick. See what I did on that last one? This the penultimate measure. I put my little finger down on the 5th fret, and that gives us that 0, 0, 3, 5. I'm going to do that again from 25. Open A. Back to that 3. Pick it again, add this finger, because that's the offbeat. Then notice we go up to 7 up here. We come back to 5 on the offbeat, back to 7, and up to 8. We've done that lots in the song, haven't we? The more you get used to it, you'll be able to do that without thinking it through too much. Let me do that in slow motion and you guys copy it back. So from measure 25. Hang on, I'm using the wrong fingers. Naughty, Matt. try that. Just have a little rest for a minute and see if you can try from measure 25, putting that together. Probably the hardest part in the song, this, so if some of you aren't getting this, I wouldn't sweat it at all. Just loads of practice, you'll get it through. And I'm kind of glad I made that mistake by not switching fingers, because it shows that sometimes you've really got to think about which fingers you use. Rather than just matching them with, say, third finger on the 3rd fret, we had to use those two because then it allowed us to go to this 5th fret later on. And when I started it with these two, I wouldn't have been able to do it properly. So have a think about which fingers you're using. Okay. Let's have a look at last page then, and I'll show you some cool things you can do with this, which would be really useful. Okay. Look at this last bit. We're nearly there, guys. We're nearly there. I'll keep, even though you're just looking at my second chin and my beard, I'll keep it here for a minute because you can see what's really happening up close. So this is the big finish, really. We're just doing the 7th fret and then following it with a strum. And then eventually we go to this 5th fret, pull back for a G7, and we're back to this double C. Okay, so it's here. 5, G7, C. Now that can be quite tricky at first, going back to that G7, but as long as you use your 3rd finger on that 5, you can pull it back, pop that down, we're back to this one. And that's it. Isn't that cool? Not too bad once you get used to it. Really tricky at first, but you can do it. Loads and loads of practice. Okay, let me just play through the whole. In fact, actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this off for a minute. I'm going to keep the camera down here so you can see what's going on. And let me play super slow motion the whole piece from top to bottom. So you can either join in or you can just have a listen and see how it sounds when you've got it. I'm going to go really slow, partly for my benefit as much as anything. Okay, let's do the whole thing through, and then we're going to finish off. I'm going to give you some tips to give you some help with this. So 1 and 2 and. High bit 10th fret. Oh, I went wrong. Sorry, everyone. Now, do you know what? I'm glad I went wrong, just to show you that I've been practicing this for ages, and it is tricky, all right? It's a hard thing to do. But also, that bit where I went wrong was a perfect example of not planning ahead. So I finished this bit here, but I didn't switch quick enough to this, which is what I needed to do. That would have allowed me to reach up. So when you're coming out of that chorus and you're coming off these Fs, try maybe right from the start going to second and 3rd fingers, because then that allows you to reach that one there. Okay, so planning ahead's really crucial in this, and yeah, I didn't do enough of it. I kind of got a bit too cocky and wasn't thinking. So that's the piece then, okay? So we've got this really, really beautiful arrangement, and notice that constant backbeat is always there. It creates a sense of groove in the piece, which is basically what we're after with this melody and groove. And then we get that syncopation when the melody is moving to the offbeats, which is really clever. Let's just finish off with a couple of kind of optional things that you can do with this. First of all, let me show you something amazing with this that you can do just in your own playing, even if you're not doing a complex arrangement. So if you've ever been playing a piece, particularly old time music, but any type of music, and you're in a group or something and everyone's strumming away and you just want to do like something a little bit more interesting, well, you can actually use this as a way of playing accompaniment. I do it all the time. So rather than just strumming accompaniment, I'll use this technique to pick a string. I could stay on one string. One fine morning when this life is over, I'll fly away. So it can actually be a really lovely, just simple accompaniment thing. And to make it sound even nicer, if you swap the thumb bit between the A and E strings, one fine morning, that's a really easy win that you can do with this to make it sound super nice straight away. Another thing you can do to make it, if you're adding kind of like all the bells and whistles, is you can add some pull-offs or hammer-ons with it, which can sound really nice. I had to bring that in for Richard. There's hope for the rest of us. I go wrong all the time. And do you know what? I'm going to take 2 minutes to tell you something that I've been meaning to tell everyone for ages. Okay, this is my confession. When I do all these YouTube videos and I'm playing all the little parts, don't forget that I've probably played that through about 5 times until I get it right. And when I've got it wrong, I've deleted them and redone them. Not everyone gets everything first time. But hopefully I want this to really encourage you. I found when I was learning ukulele from coming from guitar, I wasn't a natural ukulele player. I had to work really hard at it. And I'm only able to do these things just through practicing really, really slowly and taking my time. And if I can do that, you can. I haven't got any innate magical natural ability. In fact, I don't think I have any at all. But I've just worked at it, and it's the same for you guys. I was where you are, just trying to get this pattern and getting the timing right, and then once I got it, it clicked and I was able to do it. And it's going to be exactly the same for you. So just take it slowly. There's hope for everyone, including me. I'm still learning after 25 years. Right, this is just a bit of a fancy pants stuff you can do if you want to kind of pep up this even more. So say you've got that and you want to kind of add a bit of interest to it. A lovely thing to do is to, when you're picking a note, particularly one that you stay on for a while, there's a lot of this, isn't there? Midway and at the start of the song where we're hitting this E note up here, the 7th fret of the A string. What I'll sometimes do to make it sound super fancy pants is our hammer on. And all you need to do for that is wherever the melody note is, say this 7th fret of the A string, just put your finger 2 frets before it, or a note before it, because this is an E. We want this, which is a D. It wouldn't work coming from a D sharp to an E, because it would be out of key, right? So I'm just going to hit that one. And all you do is you keep your finger on... Keep your finger on that fret first. You pick the note with your thumb. And then you push that hand, that 3rd finger, down super hard onto the A string. And the more you do it, see mine are getting clearer the more I think about it, the more you get that clear hammer off. So I'm only picking once. And it's all about the courage of your convictions. If I do it kind of really lightly and gently, it disappears, right? So I've got to really, it's called hammer on for a reason. I've got to really hammer onto that note. And then just follow it with a down strum. It's a classic bluegrass technique, that is. So rather than, I could do, whoops, no I couldn't, I could go, there it is as an example, hammer onto the first one. And that's a really nice way of adding a bit of variety. Another one is it will quite often do the C5, doesn't it? Where we'll pick this G note on the E string. I'll quite often hammer on to this one. So, just give you an example. It's coming up here. Here. I just add a little hammer on in there just to keep it really interesting. So that's another thing that you can do to kind of pep it up and make it sound even more kind of bluegrassy and super nice. Another thing that you can do, which is taking it to like super duper level now, is to turn it almost into a claw technique. Now, you know, Dunya, I'm really glad you brought that up, Dunya. You talked about that up pick. It was really good because it reminded me to show you something. Rather than using your thumb to pick the melody note, I'll say let's do that 7th fret of the A string. If I pick up with my index finger, I'll bring my hand back here so I don't trip over the fretboard. And I'm still coming down with my nails. There's a really simple thing I can do to make it sound claw hammering bluegrass, and I do this all the time, is on my down strum, I add a little thumb pick at the end. It's like claw hammer, but rather than claw hammer, we're just doing pick, strum pick. Slow that down. Pick, strum, thumb pick. And if you do that on certain notes, it really zhuzhes it up. Have a listen to this. Oh, couldn't remember where it goes after that, but can you hear that? If I speed it up. Then you've got that kind of almost full-on bluegrass technique. And again, that sounded super fancy. All that bit, I don't know what I was doing there. But all I'm doing is picking up, strumming down and thumbing it. And then when I got it sounding super juicy, I was just adding a hammer on as well. Now that's probably taking it too far for many people because you're just starting to get that rhythm, okay, and getting into it. There's loads to think about already. But when you do feel comfortable, when you feel you've got that, that's a lovely way to add that kind of bluegrass pattern. I do it with a lot of stuff. Wildwood Flower. That was exactly the technique that I was just showing you, just picking up and then adding a little thumb down as well, which is super nice to do. Right, so I think that's everything I wanted to show you for today. I know we kind of whizzed through the actual piece super quick, but hopefully you've got the idea. Thumb, strum. And whenever the melody note's on the offbeat, just strum for it. Here's an example. That's a really nice example. Yeah, it is auto. David was just saying it's quite auto harpy-ish. It is, isn't it? Yeah, I kind of love it because this Carter family stuff. It kind of, yeah, it has that really lovely. It makes me think of that. You know when John Cash used to play with. It was June Carter, wasn't it? His wife back in the day, June Carter. She used to play auto harp, and he'd play his lovely folk songs. And yeah, it makes me think of that, which is super nice. Just very quickly, just to help you practice it. Remember, I gave you those 2 exercises at the start. If you're struggling with that, adding that melody note in, a good bit would be to practice that chorus part, which goes 10, 7, 8, 10. Now you could just do that round and round. Okay, so we're doing pick, pick, melody pick. That'd be a great one, just to practice doing that melody note in the middle on the down strum, which would be super, super useful. Just reading this from Richard. Yeah, that's a really, really great point, actually. So Richard was saying, you know, when I showed it you on stationary chords, so maybe just that C5 and just practicing. That's a great way to practice the technique. If you find you're struggling with doing the full melody version, just practice that. Thumb strum, thumb strum, thumb strum, thumb strum. It's a really great way to do it as well. So yeah. Thanks, Robin. Now that's really interesting, because that when I added that extra thumb pick, that was when it really came alive for me, because it's kind of like you're already tricking people to hear two instruments. 1, 2, 1, 2, and then when you add that extra with the hammer-ons, it suddenly sounds like you're hearing 3 or 4 instruments, and people love that because their minds go, how's that happening? It's one of my favourite things on ukulele, is when you can make it sound like it's more than one ukulele playing. Of course, James Hill's the master of that. Has everyone seen his Billie Jean his Billie Jean concert performance? I love that. He starts with the do 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 do, then he adds the kind of the rhythm, and then he does bass and drums. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, fantastic. No way, Jill, you're in Appalachia. Whoa, that's amazing. You've chosen the perfect week for joining in by YouTube Live. Absolutely brilliant. I've wanted to get up there for so long. I've really wanted to visit the Appalachians and the Blue Ridge Mountains and everything. One day I'll get over there. Yeah, absolutely would love to. One of my dreams is to come over for the Ashokan Festival. I'd love to do that at some point. I even had a crazy dream, but this is going to have to be when I retire, of walking the Appalachian Trail and actually doing it properly, not like Bill Bryson, who cheated. So I'd like to do that. So I'm going to take a rest there. I've realised that I've been talking very quickly and covering a lot very quickly at the moment. So I'm going to take a rest, and just to finish off, if anyone's got any questions at all, please ask away, and I'll do my best to help you. It could be regarding this technique, it could be anything ukulele wise, bar chords, tuning, whatever, you know, just let me know, and I'll stay around another 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, to answer any questions, or longer if you want. Absolutely fine. And just while we're waiting for those to come through, thanks, Jill. Just whilst we're waiting for any comments and questions to come through, just to remind you that this is going to be available to watch whenever you want after this. I'm keeping them all on my YouTube channel for time immemorial. Is that a word? Forever. So you can watch this back as many times as you want. You don't have to pay to watch it, as many times as you like. And also, if you missed the one 2 weeks ago on Blue Hawaiian Moonlight, that's available as well. So you can go to my live feed and you can see it there. And also, don't forget, on my website, mattsteadukulele.com, link in the description, mattsteadukulele.com, I've listed the current YouTube live and all the previous ones. So if you miss one, there'll be loads of these. I'm going to do them every 2 or 3 weeks. You can go back and join in. And same with the sheets. They're going to be available on my PayHip forever, following the link. So just, you can download those whenever you want. And which reminds me, I think I got a bit carried away and I forgot to tell you so much today. I always do this. I wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone, because as a lot of you will know, I've been offering the worksheets for 2 levels, £4 for all the worksheets, and then £8 if you want to add a bit of a tip for me, but also to help people who can't afford them. And this week's one especially, I had a fair few people, for genuine reasons, and they never have to tell me why, that weren't able to pay for the worksheets, and I was able to send them to them. So everyone that helped out, I'm really appreciative, and just know that it is genuinely helping out people that couldn't afford it. So I really appreciate that, and just goes to show how amazing the uke community is, right? We're just everyone's so generous, and It sounds cheesy, but it really does. It's really heartwarming, and I really appreciate it. Oh, cheers, Robin! Wow, you've stayed up till 2 a.m. You are a rock star. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's awkward a time difference, isn't it? I've been joining in some things from Hawaii, and I have to do it at like 5 a.m. It's mad. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, everyone. So brilliant. Thank you. Put some of these. Yeah, loads to practice, Ilka. Take your time with it. Go as slow as you want. Just those exercises are there to help you. Remember, I've done those exercises through a million times, and it did really help me eventually, and I got hold of it eventually. Any UK people? The end of next week, I've got my next ukulele walk. So we're doing it in sunny Dorset. We're going from beautiful Lulworth Cove. We're taking a walk to Durdle Door along the coast. Hopefully we'll see loads of butterflies. The Lulworth skippers are out. One of Britain's rarest butterflies, and we'll go and find it. Peregrine falcons, hopefully. And then I've booked the village hall as well. So if it does rain for any reason, we can go there. So that's my next ukulele walk, which is next weekend. So come and join in if you'd like to. Yeah, I think that's everything I needed to mention. So yeah, thank you everyone. I'll hang around just a bit longer just in case we've got any comments, and brilliant. Let me know how you get on. I hope you enjoy it. Do join that Facebook group if you get a chance, link in the description. I've been trying to persuade everyone to put their videos on there so we can all see how everyone's doing. It's scary, isn't it? I'm very nervous about putting stuff online, so I totally understand it. But if you're feeling brave enough, go and do it. It'd be absolutely brilliant. And it was kind of a lot of people were nervous about singing that Blue Hawaiian Moonlight, but this one you don't even have to sing. You can see why I do a lot of this melody stuff, because I'm not a singer and I prefer the chord melody stuff. So yeah, there we go. Thanks, Dunya. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so strings to help your ukulele sound a bit more mellow on the high notes. Really brilliant question. Thanks, Jill. That's really kind. Thanks, Marion. That's really kind. So I'm a big fan of fluorocarbon strings, which is what I've got on this one. They're a bit higher tension, but they really ring out. And when you go way up the fretboard, those notes still ping out, but they don't have that kind of bright tinny quality that you can get from some strings. A lot of ukuleles, including many we sell in the shop to be fair, come with Aquila strings, which are the kind of thick white ones. You may have them on yours, don't you? I can't remember. But they're really powerful strings, and when you're strumming, absolutely fantastic, really lovely. But I do find when you're doing this melody work, they can sound a bit tinny when you go higher up the fretboard. So I would recommend some fluorocarbons. Many of them are kind of, they're quite similar. So as long as you get a type of fluorocarbons, you'll be fine. But my favourites are Worth's. Worth Clear Medium for concert ukuleles and soprano ukuleles. Worth Clear Tenor, CT for tenor ukuleles. My absolute favourites that I've got at the moment, and the ones that are on this ukulele, are Diodario fluorocarbons. So Diodario, and make sure it's the fluorocarbons. They do nylons and all sorts. The Diodario ones are the warmest tenor fluorocarbon strings I've found. Sometimes fluorocarbons can sound quite bright when you're strumming, but these have a nice kind of nice mellowness to them. So Diodario fluorocarbons, my total recommendation. But yeah, cool. Marion, absolutely. So what I'm going to do when I finish the live session, I'll amend the YouTube video in the description to have links to my Dropbox where there'll be one for each of the exercises so you can download them. So absolutely, you won't have to pay extra because people have already paid for the sheets. Don't worry about that. So yeah, just go to the description in about 10-15 minutes and I'll put a link there and you can print them out or have them on screen, because I kind of, as I was playing through of it today, I thought that'd be really useful to help you practice it. So that's why I did those. They're a bit last minute. They're a bit kind of bit scratchy. Looks a bit like a spider has crawled across the page, but I think you'll be able to use them. Fantastic. Right, I'm going to say goodbye to everyone now. So thank you so much for all your support. I really appreciate it. Do get in touch if you want any advice or you have any problems with any of the stuff from today or any questions at all. I'll always be glad to help. And we'll be back in either 2 or 3 weeks. The only reason I say possibly 3 weeks is just because I'm working on something exciting for the next one, and I want to make sure I've got time to make it amazing. It will probably be 2 weeks' time, but if not, I'll keep everyone posted. So have a look on my Facebook and YouTube page, and I'll let you know. So take care, everyone. Loads of love from over here in sunny Forest of Dean, actually rainy Forest of Dean today, and I'll catch up with you all again soon. Take care, everyone.